Courtney Wright was left embarrassed after she was pulled out her class at Bilton School in Rugby for wearing the Spice Girls dress. The school apologized for the distress. A schoolgirl was thrown into isolation just for wearing a Union flag dress to celebrate being British at her school's Culture Day. Straight-A student Courtney Wright, 12, was left feeling devastated after she wore a Spice Girls-esque dress and wrote a piece about history and traditions as part of the celebrations last Friday. She was told the dress was unacceptable and she was hauled out of lessons and forced to sit in reception until her dad collected her. Stuart Field, 47, said he was stunned to learn that his daughter had been segregated from her friends due to her choice of attire at Bilton School in Rugby, Warwickshire. The marine restoration worker said, "Courtney was so embarrassed and couldn't understand what she'd done wrong. She should not be made to feel embarrassed about being British. And she should be punished for celebrating being British. Nobody else I've spoken to can quite get their heads around it." Somebody at the school has politicized a Union Jack dress even though that was clearly not Courtney's intent. Courtney didn't do anything to be political. It's about being British, the Spice Girls and even the freedom at being able to wear a dress. This is just what being British means to her. In a permission letter sent to parents, it said the day was designed to promote inclusion, understanding, and appreciation of different backgrounds, traditions and heritages. But Stuart said the school's actions went against the message and other pupils with St. George flags and Welsh flags were also turned away from the school gates. He added, "It's the school who have made it political and it went against everything the event was being held for." She chose the dress and wrote the piece off her own back. The day was to celebrate everyone's cultures and Courtney chose this Union flag dress so she could celebrate hers. She also wrote this speech to go with it and was very proud of what she'd done. "The next thing I get a call at work at around 9 a.m. to say she's not allowed in school dressed like that and that it was unacceptable." "I wasn't able to get away from work until about midday. They made her sit in reception all morning in front of the receptionists and kept her in isolation. She's a straight-A student, one of the brightest in her year, and she's never been in trouble before, so she was really upset." "All the kids there are British in my eyes. I like to think I am a tolerant person, but this was just not right. I wanted an answer as to why they thought this was acceptable, and nobody could give me a straight answer. I wanted to know how they had justified it." "I spoke to her head of year, and he said he wasn't the best person to talk to about it, so I can only assume he didn't really agree with it either." "It obviously came from above him, but I don't know for sure who made the decision." "I was fobbed off and told that I'd get a phone call and I took Courtney straight out for a nice meal to cheer her up. If anything, I was extremely proud of what she'd chosen and what she had written in her speech." She wanted to celebrate being British, she couldn't understand what was wrong with that. She wasn't the only kid picked out either. One child from a farming background was turned away at the gates for wearing traditional flat cap and checked shirt. Another with a St. George flag and another with a Welsh flag were not allowed in either. It was ridiculous. It just seemed anything that was remotely British wasn't allowed. Others were allowed in burqas, niqabs or traditional Nigerian clothing. They didn't even read or listen to her speech, which actually celebrates inclusivity and other cultures. It was just like British culture could not be celebrated. The school backtracked and eventually apologized, I think once the school governors became involved. But the damage had already been done. Courtney should not have been made to feel that way. I put a post on Facebook and I've had messages of support from all over the world, really, from Poland to Australia. Everybody is saying how ridiculous it is that any young person cannot celebrate where they are from. The school contacted Stewart over the weekend and have since apologized for the move. A spokesman for Stowe Valley Trust said, "At Bilton School, we are proud of the diversity of our students and the rich heritage they bring to our community. We are committed to fostering an environment where every pupil feels respected, valued, and included." On Friday the 11th of July, an incident occurred during our Culture Celebration Day that caused considerable upset to one of our pupils, her family, and members of the wider community. We deeply regret the distress this has caused and offer our sincere and unreserved apologies. We have since spoken directly with the pupil and her family to listen to their concerns and reflect on how this could have been handled better. We are committed to learning from this experience and ensuring that every student feels recognized and supported when expressing pride in their heritage. As a school, we are reviewing our policies and strengthening staff training to ensure our practices reflect our values of inclusion, respect, and understanding for all. But it can feel like being British doesn't count as a culture, just because it's the majority. I think culture should be for everyone, not just for people from other countries or backgrounds. Being British is still a culture, and it matters too. It's part of who I am. So let's celebrate all cultures, whether they come from far away or right here at home.